Hello and happy Fun-Tastic Friday. Beci Rohkohl here, Master Gardener, which means, according to my instructor in 2013, that I have a lot more to learn. Here I sit with my catalog, dreaming of what our garden will harvest this season. I'm not sure if you order seeds, buy plants, or shop at your local farmer's market. I am sure that homegrown veggies taste better, smell better, and they have the seeds which you can save for the next year if you buy the right kind of seeds to start with. The metaphysical meaning of garden from the revealing word says, the spiritual body in which man dwells when he brings forth thoughts after the pattern of original divine ideas. This garden is the substance of God. So as I start my dreaming about our garden, I'll lay you in on the top tip for any garden of all gardening and vegetables. Are you ready? The secret is to the best veggies you've ever tasted. The soil. Yes, it's the dirt. It is the heart of the garden. And when we learn as gardeners to grow our soil, the harvest is the best that it can be. We create the best conditions for the seed to grow in. That's what we're doing. Let's go to the backyard and I'll show you a few steps in making the best soil. Come with us to the garden. We bought this house last summer and it already had raised garden beds in it. But because there were critters getting into our beds, we decided to reconstruct those. Yesterday I had the kids dig this up for me and pull everything out of here so we could start the bed over again. They need a little more reinforcing from the pests that get in here, the gophers. So the kids dug this out, as you can see on the film. They dug this out for me yesterday, and we're going to put in some chicken wire first. This is actually stucco wire, which is a lot cheaper. So if you go to buy something to reinforce your garden, go to the building department, buy the lumber, and buy stucco wire instead of chicken wire. You get twice the size of the roll for half the price. So we're going to get going on this, and then we'll be back with you for the next thing that we do. When you grab the soil and you squeeze it and you open your hand and it keeps the shape, but you poke it and it comes apart just a little bit, that's a nice loomy soil. If you squeeze it and it falls apart, it's sand. Or if you squeeze it and it sticks really hard and you go to poke it and it doesn't move, that's clay. You don't want clay, you don't want sand, you want that nice loomy soil. This soil is pretty good. It has set over the winter, but with a little bit of amendments, you can make any soil nice for your garden. So the first thing we do, girls, is we use cardboard. Now you can use paper if you want. A lot of people use paper to amend their soil as we're making our lasagna garden, but we use cardboard. We usually open it up nice and flat. Girls, grab a piece of cardboard and put it in the bed. You know how to do this. You've done this before. Spread it out in the bed. The cardboard works as a great weed block, and it's part of the whole system of gardening. Now, another test you want to do on your soil is a pH test. All right, and you can do that with pH strips. That tests for acidity, however you say that, the acid in your soil. It tests for that, right? You want it to be between a 6 and a 7. And you can buy those pH strips at any grocery store, any nutritional store, or any garden store. okay? So what we do is we cover the whole bottom with the cardboard, or like I said, you can use paper. And then get your water, girls. We water it down. So the next layer on our lasagna garden is to put leaves. We start with brown leaves and then green leaves. So girls, go ahead and start shoveling the leaves in for me. The compost layer is next. So from the kitchen, you can use vegetable scraps. Be careful not to use any meat scraps or anything like that, okay? And anything that's green can be used if you cut some stuff down. We have even used before pine needles in this. If you have animals, that's great. We have horses, and this is helpful with their waste, but their waste has to be fermented first. So it actually has to cook about a year in a churning pile, in a composting pile, along with chicken waste. Those are ones that can actually burn before they're added into the soil, okay? Other animal waste works really good, but it depends on the animal. So what you want to look for is goat, bunnies, alpacas, llamas. All of those little pellets can go straight into the garden as compost, and the garden loves them. Also, worm castings, if you know anybody that has worms, that they sell their worms castings, or better yet, live worms in the garden. If you know you have live worms in your garden is doing really great. So you can continue filling the bed, rotate a 2 inches every single layer until you get all the way to the top. And you can overfill it because it's going to settle in time. So to remember that it's going to settle down, and you don't want to have to come back later and have to fill in a whole bunch more. So make it kind of rounded on top and let it be all the way full, okay? If you have to, or you run out of material or whatever, sometimes we put a topsoil from the store over the top of it. We get something with a very fine wood chipping in it, all right? And then you want to wait to plant. You do not plant immediately because you want it to settle, and 2, you want all the minerals to start going together. You wait about a week, water it daily, do not turn it over. There's absolutely no need. It's ready to go. Rainwater works best if you can harvest that, but if you don't have it, the water from the garden hose is fine. So on top you can add eggshells or any kind of natural pesticide deterrent. There's a lot of sites that give you recipes for organic pesticides that you can make right out of kitchen. But things that will not burn the plants, but they will keep the pests off of them. So one very important process that every gardener wants to consider is their space, right? The way you lay out the garden in the beds. Consider the seeds. Some seeds grow one vegetable. Some seeds grow a huge plant. So when you're laying this all out, you want to consider how much space you're going to have. This is going to save you not only money, but time. And you don't want to go running to the store and buy a whole bunch of plants and then find out you don't have enough space. Plus, next year, when you want to rotate your crops, it will be helpful. And some people that don't have a lot of space, they plant things like salsa gardens, and where they only grow ingredients for salsa, or they plant pickle gardens where they only grow stuff for pickles, or spaghetti gardens that are more of an Italian thing. So if you're limited on space, be sure to know that you can plant whatever it is you want, whatever it is you're going to want to eat and harvest yourself. So decide what you want to eat, how much space you have, and plot your garden. In order to get more into the space, there's also a culture of companion gardening, like growing corn stalks and then growing bean stalks around the corn. There's a whole theory of it out there. I've only tried it with tomato and basil. You can plant those very close together. It actually helps the tomatoes taste a little bit more like basil when you put there. So when you're talking about space, it helps you to decide how much room you're going to have, your cost, and everything else, okay? So always be sure to plant different things in different places each season. My last tip today is if you want to skip a season of veggies, plant sunflowers in the space. They're easy to grow, beautiful, and you can harvest the seeds for yourself or for the birds. And they heal the soil. They really take all the toxins out of the soil and they leave nutrients behind. So now we're ready. Agape in Action is going to be handing out garden seeds Saturday, April 17th at Wells Park, 1153 East Madison, as we do prayer in the park in our community. So you can come by and join us and pick up some seeds for your garden and get started. And next week we're going to talk about the plants, how to start, which ones to start inside, outside, the different kind of plants, what you can plant in containers, what you can plant straight into the garden, and how to get them started properly. So here's a quote to leave you with that I have found after a good deal of consideration, that the best place to seek God is in the garden. You can dig for him here. And that's George Bernard Shaw. I hope you join us next week. Happy digging.